Welcome to Coins News Daily. Today we're talking about the most valuable rare Jefferson nickel 5-cent coins from the United States of America. Before you spend that old 5-cent coin, you need to check this date. It could change your life. If you enjoyed this video and love rare coin discoveries, make sure you subscribe, like, and share this video with your friends. Comment below and tell me, have you ever found a rare nickel in your pocket change? Thanks with love for watching. Red Heart. Coin 1. Today we are diving deep into one of the most talked about modern American coins, a coin that looks simple at first glance but hides stories of history, minting secrets, collector excitement, and surprising value. Get comfortable, because by the end of this video you will never look at a Jefferson nickel the same way again. The star of today's episode is the 1976 Jefferson 5-cent coin from the United States of America. Before we talk about value and auction prices, let's step back into history. The Jefferson nickel was first introduced in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. It features President Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his famous home, Monticello, on the reverse. For decades, this design remained mostly unchanged, becoming one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. Now fast forward to 1976. America was celebrating its bicentennial, marking 200 years since the Declaration of Independence. Many collectors assume that every coin in 1976 had a special bicentennial design. That's true for the quarter, half dollar, and dollar. But here's something interesting: the Jefferson nickel did not receive a special bicentennial reverse. It continued with the classic Monticello design. And that small detail makes many people overlook it, but collectors know better. The 1976 Jefferson nickel was struck at the Denver Mint, which is identified by the small d mint mark on the obverse next to Jefferson's portrait. Denver produced hundreds of millions of these nickels that year. On the surface, that sounds common. Very common. So why are people searching through pocket change looking for one? Because condition and errors change everything. Most 1976 nickels entered circulation and were heavily used. They show scratches, weak strikes, dull luster, and worn steps on Monticello. High-grade examples with full detail are much harder to find than the mintage numbers suggest. Let's talk about full steps. On the reverse of the coin, at the base of Monticello, there are horizontal lines representing steps. In lower quality strikes, these steps are weak or incomplete. But when all steps are clearly separated and fully visible, the coin is classified as full steps by grading services. This small detail dramatically increases value. Finding a 1976 Jefferson nickel with sharp luster, no major contact marks, and full steps is extremely challenging because the Denver Mint in the mid-1970s was not known for producing the sharpest strikes. Now let's move to mint errors. This is where excitement builds. Collectors actively search for 1976 nickels with off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing and shifted. Others look for double die errors, where design elements show noticeable doubling, especially in the lettering or date. There are also repunched mint marks, clipped planchets, die cracks, and lamination errors. A dramatic off-center strike with a visible date can command serious attention at auction. A strong double die variety can also bring impressive bids, especially if authenticated and graded. Another rare situation is finding a 1976 nickel struck on the wrong planchet. Although extremely rare, transitional or wrong metal strikes always attract high collector demand. Condition plays the biggest role in value. Circulated examples are usually only worth face value. But uncirculated coins in high mint state grades tell a different story. Coins graded mint state 65 or higher begin to climb in collector value. At the very top of the grading scale, mint state 67 or mint state 67 full steps examples become condition rarities, and here is something many casual collectors miss. During the 1970s, nickel planchets were often poorly prepared. Surface marks, weak details, and dull luster were common. So when a coin survives nearly 50 years with blazing mint luster and sharp strike, it becomes a true gem. Imagine opening an old bankroll that has been untouched for decades and discovering a flawless 1976 nickel with crystal clear steps and radiant shine. That is the dream that keeps collectors searching. Now let's talk real market numbers. In circulated condition, the 1976 D. Jefferson nickel is generally worth 5 cents. In lightly uncirculated condition, it may sell for a small premium of a few dollars depending on IAPL.IN certified mint state 65 condition. The coin typically trades in the range of $10 to $20 depending on demand and visual quality.IN mint state 66. Prices often range from $30 to $60 when you reach mint state 67. Especially with strong luster and minimal marks, market prices can rise into the hundreds of dollars. A top-graded mint state 67 full steps example has reached auction prices in the range of $1,000 or more depending on IAPL and bidding competition. Major mint error examples such as dramatic off-center strikes or strong double dies have sold anywhere from $100 to several $1,000s depending on the severity and rarity of the error. So what makes this coin truly fascinating is not its face value, but the possibility hidden within ordinary pocket change. Every time you receive a nickel in change, you could be holding a coin that most people ignore. But with knowledge, patience, and a careful eye, that small 5-cent coin could become a valuable collectible. Look carefully at the mint mark. Examine the steps on Monticello. Check for doubling in the lettering. Study the luster under good lighting. These small details separate common coins from collectible treasures. The 1976 D. Jefferson nickel reminds us that rarity is not always about low mintage. Sometimes rarity is about survival, condition, and overlooked details. For coin lovers and collectors, this coin represents the thrill of the hunt. It represents history in your hands. It represents the possibility that even modern coins can hold surprising value. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 1976 D. Jefferson nickel, make sure to stay tuned for more hidden coin treasures. Because in the world of numismatics, the next valuable discovery might already be in your pocket. And remember, always verify condition with professional grading services if you believe you have a high grade or error example. Authentication protects your investment and ensures accurate market value. Thank you for spending your time exploring this fascinating coin. Keep searching, keep learning, and most importantly, keep collecting. Coin 2. We are diving deep into a coin that many people overlook, a coin that hides in pocket change, coin jars, drawers, and old collections, yet hold surprising stories and real value for those who truly understand it. Get ready, because we are talking about the 1979 Jefferson nickel with no mint mark from the United States of America. At first glance, this coin looks completely ordinary. It carries the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the front, calm, dignified, and instantly recognizable. On the reverse, Monticello stands proudly, detailed and symmetrical, a design that collectors have admired for decades. Most people see this coin and think it is worth only 5 cents. But serious collectors know that condition, rarity, and minting characteristics can transform an everyday coin into something far more exciting. The year 1979 was a time of heavy coin production in the United States. Millions upon millions of Jefferson nickels were struck. When you see a 1979 nickel without a mint mark, that tells you it was minted in Philadelphia. During that time, Philadelphia nickels typically did not carry a mint mark, so the absence of a mint mark is actually normal for that facility. This is important, because many people assume no mint mark automatically means rare. In this case, it simply means it was struck in Philadelphia. So if it is so common, why are collectors still searching for the 1979 no mint mark nickel? The answer lies in condition and errors. First, let's talk about condition. In circulated grades, most 1979 Jefferson nickels show wear. The high points of Jefferson's hair become flat. The steps on Monticello lose their definition. The luster fades. These coins, while still collectible as part of a date and mint set, usually carry only a small premium above face value, but when you move into uncirculated grades, things change dramatically. An uncirculated 1979 nickel with full original mint luster, sharp details, and no contact marks becomes much harder to find. And then there are the full steps examples. On the reverse of the coin, beneath Monticello, are steps leading up to the building. In lower quality strikes, these steps are weak or blended together. But in high-end examples, the steps are fully separated and sharply struck. Collectors prize these full steps coins because they show exceptional strike quality. Finding a 1979 no-mint mark nickel in superb uncirculated condition with full steps is significantly more challenging than finding an average circulated piece. This is where value begins to rise. Now let's move into errors. Error coins are where excitement truly begins. During the minting process, small mechanical mistakes can create dramatic visual differences. These errors were never intended, and that is exactly why collectors love them. One possible error is an off-center strike. This happens when the coin blank is not properly aligned with the dies during striking. Part of the design may be missing, and the coin can look unusual or incomplete. Depending on how dramatic the off-center strike is, and whether the date remains visible, collectors may pay a strong premium. Another type of error is a clipped planchet. This occurs when the metal strip from which coins are punched overlaps during the cutting process. The result is a coin with a curved missing section on its edge. A genuine clipped planchet 1979 nickel can attract significant attention. There are also double die varieties. A double die happens during the die creation process when the design is impressed more than once at slightly different angles. This can create visible doubling on letters, numbers, or design features. While major double die varieties for 1979 nickels are not extremely famous, minor varieties and machine doubling can still generate interest among specialists. Strike quality also matters deeply for this year. The late 1970s were not always known for the sharpest strikes on Jefferson nickels. Many coins show weak details, especially on Monticello's steps. Because of that, sharply struck examples stand out in grading populations. When professional grading services certify a coin at the highest levels, especially with full steps, collectors compete strongly for those top spots. Another factor that adds to the excitement is population rarity in high grades. Even though millions were minted, very few survive in pristine condition decades later. Coins that were saved carefully from original bank rolls, untouched by circulation, sometimes reveal blazing luster and near-perfect surfaces. But even among those, finding one that meets the strictest grading standards is not easy. Collectors who focus on registry sets want the best of the best. They want coins that rank at the top of grading charts. And when two collectors compete for the finest known example of a 1979 no-mint mark Jefferson nickel, the bidding can climb far beyond what most people expect for a simple 5-cent coin. Let's talk realistically about value. In circulated condition, a typical 1979 no-mint mark nickel is generally worth its face value of 5 cents. Even in lightly circulated condition, it usually trades for only a small premium. In basic uncirculated grades, many examples sell for around $1 to a few dollars depending on eye appeal and luster. When you step into higher mint state grades, especially those graded around MS66, values can reach into the range of several dozen dollars. At the very top of the grading scale, coins graded at the highest certified levels with strong eye appeal and full steps can command several $100. In rare auction appearances of superb gem examples with exceptional strike and preservation, prices have reached into the range of around $1,000. Error coins tell a different story. A dramatic off-center strike with strong visual appeal may sell for several dozen to over $100 depending on severity. A well-defined clipped planchet can bring similar strong premiums. Exceptional and visually striking errors may reach several $100s in competitive bidding environments. What makes this coin fascinating is not that every 1979 no-mint mark nickel is rare. It is that hidden among ordinary examples are pieces of remarkable quality and unusual minting history. That possibility keeps collectors searching. That possibility keeps people examining pocket change under bright lights and magnification. For new collectors, this coin is an excellent teaching piece. It teaches the importance of condition. It teaches the difference between common and condition rarity. It teaches how strike quality and surface preservation matter more than mintage numbers alone. It also introduces the exciting world of mint errors and varieties. For experienced collectors, the 1979 Jefferson nickel offers the challenge of upgrading to the finest known grade. It becomes a hunt for perfection. It becomes a search for blazing luster, razor-sharp steps, and flawless fields. So the next time you see a 1979 nickel without a mint mark, do not dismiss it immediately. Turn it under the light. Look closely at Jefferson's hair. Examine the steps of Monticello. Check for unusual features along the rim. You might just discover a coin that is far more interesting than its small denomination suggests. Coin collecting is not only about gold and silver. Sometimes the thrill comes from finding extraordinary quality in the most ordinary places. And the 1979 Jefferson nickel with no mint mark is a perfect reminder of that truth. Now let's clearly talk about real market prices and auction values. In circulated condition the value is 5 cents. In uncirculated condition common examples sell for about $1 to $5. In high mint state grades values can range from around $20 to over $100 depending on quality. In superb top graded examples with full steps auction prices have reached around $1,000. Major visible mint error examples can sell from several dozen dollars to several $100 depending on the type and strength of the error. That is the real market reality of the 1979 no mint mark Jefferson nickel. Keep searching, keep learning, and most importantly, enjoy every coin you hold. Because sometimes, even a simple 5-cent piece can tell a story worth far more than its face value. Coin 3. We are diving deep into a coin that most people have seen, but almost nobody truly understands. A small 5-cent piece that passes through hands without attention, dropped into jars, lost in couches, spent without a second thought. Yet hidden among millions of ordinary nickels could be a treasure that serious collectors search for every single day. We're talking about the 1986 Jefferson nickel. And if you love coins, if you love hidden value, if you love the thrill of discovering something rare in your pocket change, then stay with me because this story is going to surprise you. The Jefferson nickel series began in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. Designed by Felix Schlag, the coin features Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his historic home, Monticello, on the reverse. By 1986, the design had already been part of American daily life for nearly half a century. Billions had been produced over the decades. So what makes the 1986 special? First, let's understand the basics. The 1986 nickel was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. The P mint mark appears on the right side of Jefferson's portrait, just below the year. This is important because Philadelphia did not always use a mint mark on nickels. The presence of the P tells us clearly where it was made. In 1986, the Philadelphia Mint produced over 500 million Jefferson nickels. That sounds enormous, and it is. At first glance, that number suggests there is nothing rare about this coin at all. But here's where collectors lean forward and start paying attention. High mintage does not mean high survival in high grade. Most 1986 nickels entered circulation immediately. They were used, stacked, dropped, scratched, and worn down. Over time, the vast majority became common circulated pieces worth only face value. But very few were preserved in pristine condition. And condition, in the coin world, is everything. A coin graded mint state 65 or higher begins to attract attention. But when we talk about mint state 66, 67, or even higher, now we are in serious territory. The 1986 nickel is notoriously difficult to find with strong strikes and flawless surfaces. Many examples show weak details on Monticello, especially on the steps. Collectors love something called full steps. This refers to the sharp, fully defined steps on the reverse of the coin at the base of Monticello. If those steps are complete and uninterrupted, the coin earns a special designation. And that designation can dramatically increase value. Why are full steps rare on the 1986 Because the dies used in 1986 often produced weaker strikes. The metal did not always fill the deepest parts of the design perfectly. So finding a coin with fully struck steps, clean surfaces, no contact marks, and strong luster is incredibly challenging. And that challenge creates demand, but that's not all. There are also error coins. And errors are where things get exciting. Collectors search for off-center strikes, clipped planchets, double strikes, die cracks, and especially double die varieties. A double die occurs when the design is impressed onto the die more than once in slightly different positions. When that happens, the coin can show visible doubling in the lettering or details. On some 1986p nickels, minor doubling can be seen in the inscriptions. While many examples are subtle and require magnification, strong examples are highly desirable. Error collectors are always hunting for dramatic, visible doubling. Another fascinating variety involves die deterioration. Over time, dies wear down. As they deteriorate, they can produce coins with unusual textures or raised lines. Some collectors specifically seek these die states as part of a complete variety set. Then there's the thrill of finding a transitional error. Although extremely rare and not widely documented for this specific year, collectors always remain alert for wrong planchet strikes. Imagine discovering a 1986p nickel struck on a dime planchet or another denomination's metal. These pieces would be extraordinary and could command significant premiums. What truly makes the 1986p Jefferson nickel exciting is not just rarity. It's accessibility. Unlike 19th century coins locked away in collections, this coin still appears in circulation and in old bank rolls. That means anyone watching this video could potentially find one. Think about that. A coin worth only 5 cents in everyday spending could be worth hundreds, even thousands, depending on grade and designation. Now let's talk about the market. In circulated condition, a 1986p nickel is generally worth 5 cents. Even in lightly uncirculated condition, it may only bring a small premium, but when professionally graded in high mint state condition, especially with full steps, the value increases dramatically. Examples graded mint state 66 have sold for modest premiums, examples graded mint state 67 have reached into the hundreds, and the finest known examples, particularly those with full steps and exceptional eye appeal, have reached auction prices in the thousands of dollars. Let that sink in. A coin that millions ignored, becoming a 4-figure collectible simply because it survived in extraordinary condition. Collectors are drawn to this coin because it represents a modern challenge. Unlike older series where rarity is expected, modern coins require sharp eyes and patience. You can search through rolls for months before finding a gem. But that one discovery makes the hunt worthwhile. Another reason this coin is fascinating is the psychology of condition rarity. Many collectors assume modern coins are easy to find in high grade. But the truth is that careless handling at the mint, bulk bag storage, and circulation marks prevent most coins from achieving top grades. When grading services evaluate a 1986p nickel, they look for luster, strike sharpness, surface preservation, and eye appeal. A tiny tick mark on Jefferson's cheek or a faint scratch across Monticello can drop the grade significantly. That's how competitive modern grading has become. If you are a coin roll hunter, here's what to watch for. Check the steps on Monticello carefully. Use magnification. Look for uninterrupted lines. Rotate the coin under light to inspect luster. Avoid cleaned coins, as cleaning destroys value. Natural surfaces are essential. Also, examine the mint mark area. Sometimes small die chips or anomalies appear near the P. While minor, certain die varieties can attract specialist collectors, and always remember, storage matters. If you find a high-quality example, place it in a proper holder immediately. Avoid touching the surfaces. Oils from your fingers can reduce grade potential. The 1986p Jefferson nickel teaches an important lesson in numismatics. Value is not always about age. It is about condition, scarcity in top grade, and collector demand. Today, collectors continue submitting these nickels to grading services, hoping to discover the next top population example. Population reports show that the highest grades remain limited. That limited supply keeps competition alive. So what is the real market price? In circulated grades, the value remains 5 cents. In mint state 65, examples typically sell for a few dollars. In mint state 66, market prices often range between $10 and $20 depending on eye appeal. In mint state 67, auction results have reached several $100s. And the finest certified full steps examples have achieved auction prices exceeding $1,000, with exceptional pieces reaching several $1,000s in competitive bidding. That is the reality of the market today. from pocket change to a coin worth thousands, the 1986 P. Jefferson nickel proves that treasure can hide in plain sight. So before you spend your next nickel, take a closer look. Check the date. Find that P. Study the steps. Because you never know when 5 cents could turn into something extraordinary. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of rare modern coins, stay curious, keep searching, and remember that every coin has a story. And sometimes, that story is worth far more than its face value. Coin 4. We are diving into one of the most surprising and mysterious modern American coins that has collectors searching pocket change with brand new excitement. If you love rare coins, hidden treasures, and stories about everyday money turning into serious cash, then stay with me until the end, because this episode is going to change the way you look at the Jefferson nickel forever. We are talking about the United States of America Jefferson 5-cent coin dated 1989 with the P mint mark. At first glance, it looks ordinary. It's a small copper nickel coin with Thomas Jefferson on the front and Monticello on the back. Millions were made. It circulated in grocery stores, vending machines, and parking meters. Most people never think twice about it, but here is where things get exciting. Some 1989 P. Jefferson nickels are not just ordinary coins. Certain rare varieties, mint errors, and high-grade examples have become highly desirable among collectors. And when condition meets rarity, that simple 5-cent piece can turn into something far more valuable than its face value. Let's start with the basics. The 1989 P. Jefferson nickel was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. The P mint mark appears to the right of Jefferson's portrait on the obverse. By 1989, the United States Mint had long been producing nickels in a copper-nickel clad composition made of 75% copper and 25% nickel. The coin weighs 5 grams and has a plain edge. Now you might ask, if millions were made, how can any of them be rare? That's where condition and mint errors come into play. Most 1989 P nickels you find in circulation today are heavily worn. They show scratches, dull surfaces, weak steps on Monticello, and flattened details in Jefferson's hair. Those coins are common and typically worth face value. But collectors are not searching for average coins. They are searching for exceptional coins. One of the most important factors in the value of a Jefferson nickel is the full steps designation. On the reverse of the coin, Monticello features a set of steps leading up to the building. On many nickels, these steps are weakly struck or partially blended due to die wear or strike pressure. However, on some coins, the steps are sharply defined and fully separated. These are known as full steps nickels. A 1989 P. Jefferson nickel with strong full steps in high mint state grade becomes significantly more desirable. Why? Because sharp strikes were not extremely common for this issue. Finding one with crisp detail, clean surfaces, and no major marks is much harder than most people think. Now let's talk about mint errors, because this is where the story becomes truly fascinating. Error coins are mistakes made during the minting process. And collectors love mistakes. Some 1989 P. Jefferson nickels have been discovered with double die errors. A double die occurs when the coin die receives a misaligned impression during hubbing, causing certain design elements to appear doubled. On a Jefferson nickel, this doubling may be visible in the lettering of Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, or even in the details of Monticello. Another exciting error is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin blank is not properly aligned during striking, causing part of the design to be missing. Depending on how dramatic the off-center strike is and whether the date is still visible, the coin can attract strong collector interest. There are also clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin is missing due to a cutting error in the blanking process. These crescent-shaped clips are instantly noticeable and are very collectible. Die cracks and cut errors are additional varieties to watch for. A cud forms when a piece of the die breaks away, leaving a raised blob of metal on the coin's surface. These can appear dramatic and are highly sought after when clearly visible, but here is the real key: condition is king. A circulated 1989 P nickel may be worth 5 cents. But an uncirculated example graded at the highest mint state levels, especially with full steps, can bring surprising results at auction. High-grade coins are graded by professional services based on luster, strike, preservation, and eye appeal. In the highest certified grades, population numbers drop sharply. That means fewer available coins for serious collectors competing to complete top registry sets. Imagine searching through rolls of nickels from the bank and discovering a nearly flawless 1989p with blazing luster and razor-sharp steps. That is the thrill collectors live for. Now let's talk about real market value. In circulated condition, the 1989p Jefferson nickel is worth face value, 5 cents. In typical uncirculated condition, mint state examples usually sell for a few dollars depending on quality. However, in very high mint state grades with full steps designation, auction results have reached into the hundreds of dollars, and in the absolute highest graded examples with exceptional eye appeal and strong full steps, auction prices have reached over $1,000. Yes, a coin most people ignore can be worth more than $1,000 under the right conditions. That is why coin collectors carefully examine even modern coins. Because rarity is not always about age. Sometimes it is about quality. Sometimes it is about survival. And sometimes it is about a tiny detail like the sharpness of a staircase on the back of a 5-cent piece. So here is what you should do: check your change. Look closely at the mint mark. Examine the steps on Monticello. Use a magnifying glass if you have one. Look for doubling in the letters. Watch for unusual shapes or striking mistakes. And most importantly, pay attention to condition. The next time you see a 1989p Jefferson nickel, don't dismiss it. Hold it. Study it. Because hidden within ordinary coins can be extraordinary value. Coin collecting is not just about money. It is about history, craftsmanship, and the excitement of discovery. The 1989p Jefferson nickel proves that even modern coins can carry mystery and potential treasure. If you enjoyed learning about this fascinating 5-cent coin, make sure you stay tuned for more deep dives into rare and valuable coins hiding in plain sight. Your next treasure could already be in your pocket right now, and remember, sometimes 5 cents can turn into hundreds, and in rare cases, more than $1,000. Coin 5. We are diving into one of the most misunderstood yet surprisingly valuable modern American coins, the 1996 D. Jefferson nickel. At first glance, it looks like just another 5-cent coin you might find in pocket change. But what if I told you that certain versions of this coin can be worth far more than 5 cents? Coin lovers, collectors, and treasure hunters, listen very carefully and enjoy this journey, because this small coin has a story that might just change the way you look at your spare change forever. The 1996 D. Jefferson nickel was struck at the famous Denver Mint. The small letter D you see to the right of Thomas Jefferson's portrait tells you it was produced in Denver. In 1996, the United States Mint produced hundreds of millions of these coins for circulation. Because of that large mintage, most people assume this coin is common and has no extra value. And in many cases, that is true. But in the world of coin collecting, condition and rare errors can completely change the value of a coin. The obverse of the coin features the profile of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States and author of the Declaration of Independence. The reverse shows his historic home, Monticello. The design used in 1996 is part of the long-running Jefferson nickel series that began in 1938. For decades, collectors have carefully searched through rolls of nickels looking for key dates, high-grade examples, and rare minting mistakes. Now here is where things get interesting. Even though the 1996 D nickel had a high mintage, finding one in pristine, high-grade condition is not as easy as you might think. Most of these coins entered circulation and were heavily used. They were tossed into drawers, dropped on sidewalks, carried in pockets, and counted through machines. Over time, they developed scratches, dull surfaces, and wear on Jefferson's hair and the steps of Monticello. For collectors, the real excitement comes when a 1996 D nickel is found in extremely high mint state grades such as MS66, MS67, or even higher. In these grades, the coin must show sharp detail, strong luster, and almost no marks visible to the naked eye. The steps on Monticello are especially important. If all the steps are clearly defined and uninterrupted, the coin may qualify for what collectors call full steps. This designation dramatically increases desirability because it proves the coin was struck with exceptional detail, but condition is only one part of the story. Errors are where the magic truly begins. Some 1996 D nickels have been discovered with off-center strikes. This happens when the coin blank was not properly aligned during striking, leaving part of the design missing. Depending on how dramatic the off-center strike is, collectors can pay a significant premium. Another fascinating error is the double die effect. While not common for this year, some coins may show slight doubling in the lettering or details. When visible under magnification, this doubling creates a shadow-like appearance in the inscriptions. Error collectors actively search for such pieces because they represent a mistake during the die creation process. There are also examples of clipped planchets, where part of the coin appears cut off in a curved shape. This happens before striking, when the metal blank is improperly punched from the sheet. These unusual shapes immediately attract attention because they are clearly different from a normal coin. Die cracks and die breaks can also add interest. These appear as raised lines on the coin's surface, caused by cracks forming in the minting die. Some collectors enjoy dramatic die breaks that create bold raised areas, making each coin unique like a fingerprint from the minting press. Now let us talk about luster. A truly special 1996 D nickel will have strong, glowing cartwheel luster that rotates under light. This shimmering effect indicates minimal handling and proper storage. When combined with sharp strikes and clean surfaces, luster can elevate a coin into premium territory. Many collectors build date and mint mark sets of Jefferson nickels. For them, upgrading a 1996 D nickel to the finest known example is a serious challenge. High-grade modern coins are surprisingly competitive because thousands of collectors submit them for professional grading, hoping to achieve top population rankings. Imagine searching through rolls of nickels from the bank and discovering a nearly flawless 1996 D with blazing luster and full steps. That moment of discovery is what makes coin collecting so addictive. It turns everyday change into a potential treasure hunt. Now let us discuss real market values. In circulated condition, a typical 1996 D Jefferson nickel is worth face value, 5 cents. In lightly uncirculated condition, it may sell for a small premium of a few cents to around $1 depending on eye appeal. In certified mint state grades such as MS-65, examples generally sell in the range of $10 to $20. In MS-66, market prices often range from $20 to $40 depending on demand and quality. When you reach MS-67 condition, values increase significantly, with auction results commonly ranging from $100 to $300. The finest known certified examples in MS-67 full steps have reached auction prices in the range of $1,000 or more, depending on bidding competition and overall eye appeal. Error coins with dramatic off-center strikes or major mint mistakes can sell from $50 to several $100s depending on the severity and uniqueness of the error. So the next time you see a 1996 D Jefferson nickel, do not ignore it. Examine the steps of Monticello. Look at the shine. Check for unusual details. Because while millions were made, only a tiny fraction survive in exceptional condition or with fascinating mint errors. Coin collecting is not just about money. It is about history, craftsmanship, and the thrill of discovery. The 1996 D Jefferson nickel reminds us that even modern coins can hold hidden value when preserved in extraordinary condition. Keep searching, keep learning, and most importantly, keep enjoying the hunt. Your next valuable treasure might already be in your pocket waiting to be discovered.